All right, time for us to get started talking about our third branch of government, the judicial branch. We've gone through the legislative branch, how they make the policy. We've gone through the executive branch, the president and the bureaucracy, about how they carry out the policy. Finally, let's take a look at the federal courts, the group of judges, the branch of government that is going to interpret the policy. So here in the background, we've got the beautiful Supreme Court building, and then there's our friend Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. So we'll be going through all sorts of different judges and philosophies and all that as we explore the judicial branch. Our objective today, what we want to accomplish, we've got to just start by describing the federal court system. So we're going to be going through all sorts of different stuff today, looking at what's in the Constitution, different powers that the courts have, how the judges deal with things. And we want to make sure that we can do all these things because we have to explain how the judicial branch interacts with the other branches. So basically today we'll be answering the question of what do the federal courts do, and we'll be spending the next several days talking about the courts, what they've done in the past, what they do now, and how they impact the other branches. All right, so let's start. Let's go straight to the Constitution. Let's get started with Article 3. Article 3 going to be our judicial branch. Remember, we said some things about Article 1 and 2, like we talked about how long they were and how they were first and everything. Article 3, if you look at your Constitution, Article 3 is short. There's not much here. It does not explain a lot about the court. So we're going to go through everything it says here, but it's really not going to tell us a lot about today's federal court system. All right, Section 1 of Article 3. This is the first part of Article 3. It tells us that there's a Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is the highest court in the land. So there are no courts above the Supreme Court. No court has more power than what the Supreme Court has. And that's most of what it says right there. It says that the Congress will create all of the other courts. So it gives Congress the power to set up other courts other than the Supreme Court, however Congress decides to do it. Today, we'll get into this later, but we've got 3 levels of courts. We've got court districts all over the country, and Congress controls those because the Constitution says here there's a Supreme Court, but the rest is left up to Congress. Section 1 also tells us that judges serve life terms. Once they are appointed by the president and approved by the Senate, the judges are there for life. They are going to serve the whole time during good behavior. Like a president, they can be impeached. But it says here during good behavior. So they're not impeached because they are liberal judges or conservative judges. They can only get impeached if they break a law. It's the same as with the president here. So judges, once they're put into office and agreed to by the president and the Senate, as long as they're not breaking laws, they're going to be judges for the rest of their life. The other thing about judges is that Congress cannot Congress cannot decrease their pay. So Congress does not have the power to give judges a pay cut. So this is important. This is like a check because this way, if Congress had that power, Congress could threaten to use a pay cut to get judges to make certain decisions a way that Congress wanted. So their pay can't be changed. So this is all of Section 1. It says, all right, there's a Supreme Court. Congress fix all the rest of it. Judges are going to be picked by the president and approved by the Senate. And once they're picked, they stay there for life. And that's it. That's all that Section 1 of Article 3 tells us. So there's not a lot to say here about the court system. All right, Section 2. This tells us what kinds of cases will go straight to the Supreme Court. Now, this is rare, and a lot of this has changed because it says Congress can control all that. But cases where ambassadors are they're a party to a lawsuit, or some kind of public ministers, cases that deal with maritime law, which means out in the ocean and all that, those kind of things will go right to the Supreme Court because there's no states that will have the power to handle that for them. The other thing here, if the United States government is the one being sued, that could go right to the Supreme Court, or a situation where one state sues another state. So we're talking about there was a court case recently after the 2020 election where Texas was trying to sue Pennsylvania for the way that it handled its election. That's the kind of thing that would go straight to the Supreme Court, because it wouldn't be fair to do it in Texas, wouldn't be fair to do it in Pennsylvania. So that's the kind of thing where the Supreme Court would have jurisdiction over that. It also says in the Constitution that criminal cases will take place in the state where the crime took place, and that there will be a trial by jury there. So this is all kind of connected to extradition and that kind of thing. But if a crime takes place in Tennessee, then the court case must take place in Tennessee. There must be a jury for that and everything. So there's some protections for the people here in Article 3 as well. Then Section 3, this gets a little wild. It goes right to treason. And this is the only crime outlined in the Constitution here. So this is in Section 3 of Article 3. It says that there's treason, defines it as levying war against the United States or helping enemies of the United States. It explains that there have to be 2 witnesses to this act, and there could be an open confession to treason, and it says that Congress will decide the punishment for treason. So this is not the most important thing in the world for us to talk about, but it's weird that, so we've already covered everything in Article 3. So it does not tell us much about the court system at all, and one whole section of Article 3 here deals with treason, and that's it for the courts. So the framers definitely not sure what to do with a federal court system. All right, so thinking about Article 3, we've already gone through everything it says. So what to keep in mind? First of all, the branch is independent. It is not controlled by Congress. It is not controlled by the president. It is separate from Congress and president. So this is what gives it the power to rule against them. But you'll notice nowhere so far have I talked about powers that the court has. Article 3 did not include any powers for the court. The court does not have any expressed powers. All I've said so far is, here's the Supreme Court, Congress makes the rest, here's the judges, here's the kind of cases that go to the Supreme Court, here's what treason is like. That is all for Article 3. So the rest of the court system, there is a lot of different ways things can go, but a lot of that power is left up to Congress. So Congress sets up all of the rest of the things that we're going to be talking about for the next couple weeks. So when we're talking about anything that's not the Supreme Court or judges or things like that, the Constitution gives Congress the power to change these things. So Article 3, very small, doesn't say much. What we want to know that's very important: the judicial branch is independent all on its own, and the judicial branch in the Constitution does not have any specific power. All right, so not very long, but that's it for Article 3. Article 3 tells us about the court, about the Supreme Court at least. It tells us about the judges and how they're picked, and then it doesn't tell us much else. Remember, one of those important things, there are no expressed powers for the court in the Constitution. So now let's look at how the court got powers and what that power is.